Marshall McLuhan also just had an intellectual style that really accorded with the incipient culture of Silicon Valley. There was some sort of nonconformist ideas already circulating well before the 60s, but McLuhan really sort of turbocharged that, and people like him. And part of it was just that, these big, bold claims that sort of look to reconnect everyone's synapses and really kind of upend what you tended to think, even if in the end you're not entirely sure what you've read and entirely sure what the argument is, but also the way in which deep concern for abiding humanistic questions was fused with very specific and materialist thinking about technology. There are many institutions that sort of do that and think through that at the time. The Esalen Institute in Big Sur in California being one of them, but also like other countercultural institutions that really kind of sought to connect the idea of a consciousness shift to these emerging technologies, and really didn't really see a contradiction between those two, as we might today. We've seen how much conformity and how much control can really come through these platforms, partly because they were worried about a different kind of control. They were worried about the government. Unlike maybe in France, the 60s rebellions here in California were not always and completely anti-capitalist. They were often fairly entrepreneurial. And one of the reasons was, as my colleague Fred Turner has pointed out, is that they distrusted corporations a lot less than they distrusted the US government, which had just led the country's way into the Vietnam War. So they thought that maybe this is a better form of self-organization than government. By the same token, then corporate structures, while they were obviously hostile to them on kind of a aesthetic level, right? They didn't want to wear suits and that kind of thing. They were not against founding a company. They were not against owning some land and making some money. And even those who didn't go into tech might start a cool organic farm and make a lot of money that way and sell salsa, whatever it was. But so I think that McLuhan sort of plugs into that, because he critiques one kind of power, or says one kind of power is ultimately powerless in the face of technological change, and that's sort of unified, monopolized state power, right? No state can uninvent the printing press. On the other hand, he's extremely not laudatory, but he assigns a lot of agency to people who do control individual forms of communication, independent media, that sort of thing. And I think that's another sort of interesting and important legacy of him, that he kind of slotted into the particular ways in which Northern California hippies, leftists, counterculturalists sort of related to power in general.